The island breeze reaches me before any sound does. It slides between the tall leaves of ancient trees, brushes over the fine sand along the shore, and finally settles into the soft feathers covering my neck and back. I lift my head slowly, the way I do every morning, feeling the salty scent of the ocean that blends life and distance with a faint trace of damp wood. The salty air calls to me. My feet, large and steady, press into the cool earth. I feel the tiny stones and hidden roots beneath the thick blanket of fallen leaves. I move slowly, not from laziness, but because each step here feels like a quiet conversation with the ground. The plants seem to recognize my weight. The trees, long used to my wandering, sway gently, as if whispering an ancient good morning in a language only we share. The sound of the waves remains constant, a distant murmur that never truly rests. The water far away seems to make my chest vibrate ever so slightly, like the whole island breathes with me. I cannot see the sea from here, but I know exactly where it lies. There's an invisible trail of scent and wind that connects this patch of forest to the dark stones where the waves break endlessly. I taste the air. Something is different today. There's a sharper touch, a stronger scent of seaweed perhaps, or maybe just a silent announcement that the tide rose higher than usual overnight. My instincts shift within me, not fear, no, just that gentle, ever-present curiosity that walks alongside my steps. Around me, the leaves are wide and green, their surfaces still glistening with droplets left behind by the night mist. I run my beak along one of them, feeling the cool water touch the tip of my tongue. The freshness stirs an old memory, a time when I used to walk farther, when these trails were full of voices like mine. Now, silence feels deeper. There are few like me now, or perhaps none at all. A low, dragging sound ripples through the air. The distant call of a gecko hidden among nearby stones. He too stirs with the growing warmth that begins to touch my back. The sun already peeks between the branches, tracing golden lines across the soil. I stretch my wings for a brief moment, opening them wide, feeling the sunlight fill the soft spaces between my feathers. My feathers. I always found it curious how they shimmer faintly under the morning light, even without the bright colors other birds carry. A shade of gray, soft and gentle, with small, almost invisible variations, like the shifting clouds that dance above the island before the rain. Today, the breeze carries the scent of ferns from farther down the slope, a cool, earthy fragrance that makes me remember a hidden place among them, a shelter I visit when I want to hear only my own breathing. I walk slowly, letting the cool air fill my lungs. As I move, I hear the soft crackle of tiny insects shifting beneath the dry leaves. They do not fear me. They know I am not a threat. I watch them with the same calmness with which I observe the moss-covered rocks along my path. Each detail here is part of my world, a world that holds me without urgency. The ground here is soft, my feet sink gently, and the sensation of damp soil against my claws makes me pause. I close my eyes for a moment, imagining myself following the ocean's voice, crossing the low shrubs, reaching the place where sand meets broken shells. Perhaps today I will go there, or maybe I will remain here, just listening. A faint rustle from above makes me glance toward the canopy. A pair of white-tailed tropic birds passes high overhead, their wings slicing the air with effortless grace. They do not land here. They never do. Their paths belong to the open sky, far from the forests where I tread. Somewhere deep within, a memory stirs. The sound of other footsteps beside mine, the scent of other bodies like my own. It has been long since I sensed that. Now, the only constant companion is the wind and the trees. I pause near a patch of young pandanus trees, their long blade-like leaves forming a green curtain. I push through them carefully, the sharp edges brushing against my sides. The pandanus fruits are still unripe, too tough even for me. But their smell lingers in the air, slightly sweet with a hint of bitterness beneath. The landscape around me changes with every few steps. The ground dips and rises, exposing stretches of sandy soil and patches where black volcanic rocks protrude like forgotten teeth from the earth. I stop near one of these stones, pressing my beak gently against its cold surface. This island was born from fire long before any of us walked its forests, even before my kind arrived. I breathe in deeply again. The morning air tastes of moss and salt, of distant waves and sleeping roots. Somewhere beyond the trees, the shoreline waits. I picture it in my mind, the place where the waves leave traces of crushed coral, where the wind feels stronger, where sometimes foreign shapes appear on the horizon. But that is a thought for later. For now, the day is still new. The sun continues climbing, and the light softens the green all around me. I take another step, feeling the earth give way gently beneath me, and listen to the island, breathing, moving, alive, with me. The salty air still calls. The forest floor feels different today. As I move, each step presses deeper into layers of fallen leaves, soft and cool beneath my wide feet. The scent rising from the earth is rich with decay and life, moist soil, broken twigs, and the sweet rot of fruits long dropped and forgotten. My feet sink slightly with every step, as though the island wants to hold me here a little longer. My feet sink into the soft layers of earth and leaves. I tilt my head to one side, listening. There's a gentle rhythm in the canopy above, leaves brushing against each other as the morning breeze stirs them. The sun filters through the gaps in the branches, creating slow-moving patches of gold that shift across the ground as the trees sway. Each beam of light feels like a silent invitation, pulling me forward. The smell of overripe guava floats nearby. I recognize it instantly. My stomach rumbles in response, a slow, hollow sound from deep within. I change my path slightly, drawn by the scent, pushing through low-hanging branches with my beak. The leaves here are broad and heavy with dew. Droplets slide onto my feathers as I pass, cool and unexpected, leaving small traces of moisture on my back. Ahead, half hidden beneath a curtain of ferns, lies the fruit. Split open, soft and dark with age, its sweet scent lingers thick in the air. I press my beak against it, nudging it lightly before taking a bite. The flesh is warm from the morning sun and nearly melts on my tongue. The flavor is both sharp and sweet, and for a moment the world seems to narrow to just this: taste, scent, texture. I swallow slowly, savoring it. The sensation fills me with a strange comfort. This fruit, like many others before it, has fallen without witness. Yet here I am, finding it, making it part of my day, part of me. Beyond the fruit, the forest stretches deeper. The trees here are tall and slender, their trunks covered in moss that feels soft against my feathers when I brush too close. Ferns grow thick at their bases, their delicate fronds curling toward the damp ground like sleeping fingers. A sudden rustle in the undergrowth catches my attention. I freeze instinctively, holding my breath. The sound is light but distinct, perhaps a skink darting between the roots in search of shade. I relax again, shaking the dew from my feathers with a gentle ripple. I continue walking, letting my claws drag softly against the soil. With each step, the sounds of the forest shift. The distant call of a white-eye bird echoes faintly through the trees. Their small bodies flit between branches high above, always moving, always out of reach. I lift my head, watching their dance for a moment, then continue on. The air changes as I near a clearing. It grows warmer, heavier with sunlight. The leaves here thin out, giving way to open space where the ground is layered with dry grass and fallen seed pods. I pause at the edge, scanning the area. On the far side, I see more guava trees, their branches drooping under the weight of fruit. My body leans forward instinctively, driven by the promise of another meal. But something makes me hesitate. There are marks on the ground, faint but unfamiliar. Shallow depressions in the soil where nothing should be. I move closer, sniffing the air. The scent is strange, not of bird, nor reptile, nor anything I know from this island. It's heavier, tinged with sweat and something metallic. My feathers bristle slightly, and I step back, returning to the shelter of the trees. The island has always spoken to me in quiet ways, through scents, through shifting leaves, through the pattern of waves crashing on distant rocks. This smell does not belong here, not to the trees, not to the soil, and certainly not to me. I retreat to a patch where the undergrowth thickens. The large, leathery leaves of the endemic bois de nut trees provide cover. I settle there for a moment, lowering my body close to the earth, listening again. A single beetle crawls across the ground nearby, its hard shell catching the sun as it moves. I watch it with lazy curiosity, following its slow journey across a patch of moss. Mauritius, my home. This land has known me all my life. Every path, every fallen branch, every cool stone near the stream, I have touched them all. And yet, this morning, the air whispers of something different, something new. The forest holds its breath, and so do I. Still, my hunger persists. After a few moments, I rise and head toward another cluster of low shrubs where small red berries grow. Their taste is sharp and bitter, but I eat a few anyway, feeling their juices coat my tongue. As I chew, I glance back toward the clearing where the marks remain on the ground. The scent still lingers. I will not go closer today. Perhaps tomorrow, or perhaps I will wait longer still. For now, the forest surrounds me again. Its sounds, its smells, its textures, all familiar, all mine. I shake my feathers gently, scattering droplets of dew into the warm air, and take another step forward into the softness of the leaf-covered earth. The day is only beginning. I move further into the forest, guided by instinct and hunger. The air is thicker here, saturated with the scent of ripe and fallen fruit. Somewhere nearby, a tree has shed its treasures onto the forest floor, and my senses sharpen at the thought. The aroma grows stronger with each step, sweet and heavy like honey left too long in the sun. The sweet scent of fallen fruit leads me forward. The ground beneath my feet shifts from soft soil to a bed of leaves that crackle gently under my weight. Each step releases small clouds of scent, earthy, damp, and tinged with the faint bitterness of decomposing wood. My claws sink slightly into the layers of organic matter, and the sensation grounds me. I pause, close my eyes, and inhale deeply. There it is, the unmistakable perfume of overripe Tambalako key fruit. I open my eyes and push through a curtain of hanging vines. Before me lies the prize. Several large oval fruits, their outer skins split from their fall, revealing pale flesh glistening with moisture. Their scent fills the air, warm and dense. I waddle closer, my steps slow and deliberate. I lower my head, pressing my beak into the softest one first. The taste is sweet with a bitter edge, the texture soft and yielding, and I take my time with each bite. The flavor settles into my throat and chest, warming me from within. As I eat, small insects scatter from the fruit's surface, ants and tiny beetles fleeing my intrusion. I pay them no mind. There is only the taste now, and the quiet satisfaction of a full belly. Above me, the light shifts as clouds drift across the sun. Shadows lengthen and slide over the forest floor like lazy streams of dark water. The temperature cools slightly, and a soft breeze stirs the canopy, sending a few loose leaves tumbling down around me. One lands on my back, light as air, and I shake it off with a gentle shrug. A distant sound draws my attention, the hollow knock of a wood pigeon taking flight. I lift my head to watch it disappear between the trees. Its wings beat quickly, pale against the green. I wonder, as I always do when I see another bird, what it must feel like to rise so easily above the island. My wings remain short and rounded, built not for flight, but for balance and warmth. The thought stirs something deep within me, a faint longing for something I was never meant to do. Returning my gaze to the forest floor, I notice the marks left by my feet in the soft earth near the fallen fruit. Deep impressions, wide and unmistakable. Once, others like me would have let their own tracks beside mine, circling, foraging, wandering together beneath these same trees. I pause for a long moment, staring at the ground, feeling the weight of the emptiness around me. The forest seems to sense it too. The usual chorus of distant calls feels quieter today. Even the wind moves more cautiously through the leaves. Somewhere above, a single cricket begins its afternoon song, a thin, reedy pulse that echoes faintly through the undergrowth. I shift my weight and continue walking, moving toward a small clearing I know well. It's a place where the sun breaks through fully, warming a patch of ground where soft moss grows thick and green. I like to rest there sometimes, letting the heat soak into my feathers, listening to the distant crash of waves along the northern cliffs. As I reach the edge of the clearing, my eyes catch on something unexpected. A line of disturbed soil, as though something large had been dragged across the ground. The line cuts through the moss, straight and unnatural. I sniff the air. The same strange scent from earlier lingers faintly here too. Salt, metal, and something I cannot name. I stop at the clearing's edge, lowering my body slightly, pressing close to the earth as though seeking answers from the soil itself. The moss is cool beneath my breast, and for a long while I stay there, breathing slowly, letting my heart settle. Above me, the sun pierces through the gaps in the leaves, casting golden stripes across the moss. Tiny insects hover in the light, their wings catching flashes of silver and gold. The warmth on my back soothes me, dulling the sharp edge of my earlier curiosity. Whatever left that mark in the ground, it is gone now, gone with the wind and time. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the island wrap around me once more. The smell of fruit still clings to my beak, and the earth beneath me holds the cool memory of morning. I drift between wakefulness and rest, listening to the heartbeat of Mauritius, the whisper of leaves, the hum of insects, the far-off pull of the sea. For now, I am here, still part of this land, still dreaming beneath these ancient trees. I rise from the soft moss, stretching my legs carefully before stepping away from the clearing. The air feels different now. There's a subtle tension, like the island itself is holding its breath. I follow an old path, one I've walked countless times before. It winds gently downhill, leading me toward the shoreline where black volcanic rocks meet the restless sea. I notice something unusual today. New shapes pressed into the sand near the rocks. Strange marks near the shoreline catch my eye. As I move closer, the familiar scent of salt and seaweed grows stronger, filling my nostrils with every breath. The waves crash lazily against the stones, leaving behind foamy fingers that stretch and then retreat. Seabirds wheel overhead, their cries sharp and distant, like questions flung into the sky. The sand beneath my feet shifts with each step. Tiny crabs scurry into holes as I pass, their quick legs kicking up small clouds of dust. I pause near a cluster of driftwood, tilting my head as I study the ground. There, imprinted across the damp sand, are long, narrow depressions running parallel to the water. Not the footprint of any bird or lizard I know. Too deep, too straight. I lean closer, lowering my beak to the sand, taking in the scent. It's mixed, salt, damp wood, and something else. Something that reminds me of the strange smell I noticed earlier among the trees. This is not the trail of any island creature I recognize. My feathers ruffle with unease. I back away slightly, glancing toward the sea. On the horizon, dark shapes bob along the waterline. They are distant, but unmistakable, large wooden forms with tall cloths catching the wind like wings. Ships. I've seen them before, though never this close. Once, weeks ago, I caught sight of them far beyond the reef, their pale sails like clouds tethered to the sea. But now they drift closer, their shapes larger, more defined. The sight stirs something restless inside me. A sudden noise startles me, a crack and splash near the rocks. I turn quickly, heart pounding, but see only a large branch, half submerged and knocking against the stone with each passing wave. Still, my body remains tense, every feather on alert. I shuffle back toward the safety of the trees, climbing the gentle slope that leads away from the beach. As I ascend, I glance over my shoulder, watching the waves erase the strange marks in the sand. Slowly, they vanish under the rolling water, as though they were never there. The path back into the forest feels different now. The air heavier, the shadows deeper. My instincts urge me to find higher ground, a place where I can watch without being seen. I head toward a rocky outcrop that rises above the tree line, a spot where the ferns grow low and the ground feels solid beneath my feet. From here, I can see the curve of the shoreline, the ships still anchored farther out, their pale sails slack in the wind. The sky shifts above me, clouds moving swiftly as if pushed by unseen hands. The light turns cooler, the sun hidden behind layers of gray. I stand still, breathing deeply, tasting the change on my tongue. A dragonfly buzzes past, its translucent wings catching what little sunlight remains. For a moment, I envy its lightness, the way it moves without thought, following only the wind. Below, near the edge of the beach, I spot small figures moving along the sand. Too far to see clearly, but their shapes are unfamiliar. Upright, walking in lines, leaving fresh marks where the tide has not yet reached. I watch them for a long time, barely moving, my body pressed low to the earth. Their voices carry faintly on the breeze, sharp, clipped sounds that mean nothing to me. Yet their tone feels purposeful. The island seems to listen with me. The birds above grow quiet. Even the waves pause, their rhythm slowing as though time itself hesitates. I remained there until the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the land. The strangers do not come closer to the trees today, but I know they will return. Turning back toward the forest, I make my way carefully through the undergrowth, my heart beating faster than usual. The familiar scents of leaves and soil wrap around me again, comforting, but unable to erase the lingering smell of salt and metal that now follows me like a shadow. Tomorrow, perhaps the air will change again. Perhaps the ships will leave. But tonight, the island and I will dream together, as we always have. The forest feels restless tonight. As the sun lowers, the wind changes direction, bringing with it sounds that don't belong. The usual chorus of crickets and frogs seems thinner, as though the smaller creatures sense what I do, but lack the words to express it. The air carries voices from the horizon, soft at first, but growing clearer as the light fades. The wind carries sounds I do not understand. I pause beneath a large bois d'ebene tree, its thick, dark trunk rising like a silent guardian above me. The rough bark presses against my side as I lean into it for comfort. I close my eyes for a brief moment, letting my other senses sharpen. The earthy scent of damp leaves surrounds me, mingling with something faint and foreign. Smoke, maybe, or something burning far away? I turn my head toward the distant shoreline. Through the trees, in the gaps between branches, I glimpse brief flashes of light, small, flickering, and orange against the growing dusk. Fires! There are fires near the beach. The sounds become clearer now. Voices, broken into short bursts, rise and fall like waves against stone. They do not sound like the calls of birds, nor like the rustle of wind through the leaves. There's a rhythm to them, something deliberate, something human. I crouch low to the ground, my belly pressing into the cool soil. The instinct to hide is strong, an echo deep within my bones. I do not know these creatures. I do not know their intentions. But the island's mood tells me enough. They are new, they are different, and they are not gentle. A breeze rushes through the forest, shaking the canopy above me. Dry leaves fall in slow spirals to the ground. One lands on my head, soft and dry. I shake it off, rising carefully to my feet. My claws press deeper into the dirt as I move, each step slow, deliberate, quiet. Following instinct, I head toward a small ravine where water collects after the rains. The stream is dry now, but the hollow ground offers shelter and shadow. As I move, I notice the absence of movement around me, the usual rustling of geckos in the undergrowth gone, the soft wing beats of evening birds silent. Reaching the ravine, I lower myself between two moss-covered rocks, tucking my body tightly. From here, I can watch the forest's edge without being seen. The trees nearest the beach glow faintly now, illuminated by the distant fires. Shadows flicker between trunks. More voices drift upward, some sharp and laughing, others low and muttering. I shift my weight, careful not to disturb the dry leaves beneath me. My heart beats fast, faster than it should. The sensation is strange, unfamiliar. Not hunger, not curiosity, something else. Something I don't yet have a name for. A sudden movement catches my eye. Far off, near the tree line, one of the strangers appears. Tall, two-legged, moving with awkward sways as it steps across the uneven ground. Its skin, or perhaps the covering it wears, is pale in the firelight. It carries something long and thin over one shoulder. A stick? A branch? I cannot tell. Another follows behind it, shorter, with slower steps. They speak in low tones, pointing toward the trees, as though deciding whether to enter. I hold my breath. They pause for a long moment. Then, without warning, both turn back toward the beach, disappearing into the curtain of smoke and night that now gathers along the shore. I exhale slowly, feeling my body relax by small degrees. My feathers settle against my skin, though the tension remains, coiled deep in my muscles. The night thickens. The stars begin to emerge, faint and scattered across the darkening sky. I rise from my hollow, moving deeper into the forest, away from the light, away from the voices. My path takes me uphill, toward a dense thicket of ferns and young palms, where the earth feels cool and untouched. The air here carries only familiar scents: damp wood, growing leaves, distant rain. I nestle myself among the roots of a large tree, curling my body tightly, letting the ground hold me. Yet even as I close my eyes, the distant echoes of strange voices linger in my mind. A part of me knows that the island is changing, that something has arrived, and it will not leave quickly. I breathe in the scent of earth and moss one last time before sleep pulls me under. Tomorrow I will listen again. Tomorrow I will watch. For now I rest. Morning returns with a hush. The usual symphony of chirps and calls has not yet begun. The forest feels suspended in a breath it has not released. I wake slowly, muscles stiff beneath damp feathers, and blinked at the silver light filtering through the canopy. The air is cold, too cold. I rise, stretch my legs one at a time, and feel the dew cling to my feathers. Pale shapes on the water catch my eye from a gap in the trees. Pale sails on the horizon. Climbing a slope I know well, I move silently, avoiding the dry twigs and loose stones beneath the leaves. This path leads to a high overlook, a ridge where the trees thin and the whole bay can be seen. I do not go there often, but today my body takes me without question. The climb is slow. Vines hang like sleeping snakes across the trail, and I duck beneath them, pushing forward with short, careful steps. As I near the top, the wind grows stronger, carrying salt, the smell of ash, and something sharp, metallic. I pause, eyes narrowed, tasting the air. The scent is the same as yesterday, but heavier now, more real. When I reach the ridge, I stop. The forest ends abruptly here, and the land drops into a wide view of sea and sky. Below, the cove stretches outward, and floating within it are 3 massive ships. Their sails catch the light like bone. Their hulls are dark and still. Shadows move along the decks. I do not know what they are made of, but I can feel the weight of them. Heavy things that do not belong to wind or wave. The beach is dotted with figures now. Upright shapes moving in lines. They carry sticks, some long and gleaming. Others carry boxes, crates, bundles. They leave marks as they walk, deep tracks in the sand and broken paths through the low vegetation. I watch in silence. My body presses low to the earth. The sun rises slowly behind me, casting my shadow down the slope like a ghost. I shift backward into the cover of a nearby tree, letting its roots shield me. From this angle, I can see more clearly. One of the strangers points toward the forest. Another kneels and places something metal against the ground. I do not understand what I see, but I feel the forest around me tightening, like a muscle held under strain. A distant sound rolls through the air, a thud followed by a high-pitched whine. Then silence. The birds above me take flight all at once. Wings fill the air with sudden movement, their calls sharp and frantic. My heart pounds against my chest. I back away from the edge, moving as quietly as I can, every sense alert. The air is no longer just scented with sea and wood. It is filled with intention. As I return to the denser forest, the shadows soothe me. The sun cannot reach me here. I move through the undergrowth like mist, every step deliberate, guided by instinct alone. My feet find paths carved by old memory. Roots and stones do not surprise me. I know this place. I trust its silence. But the silence is different now. It is watching. I pause near a patch of ferns and kneel, pressing my body low again. My breathing slows. I wait. Long minutes pass. A gecko scurries past me, startled by nothing. I let it go. Then, above the trees, a strange shape moves. I catch a glimpse between the leaves. Pale fabric attached to a wooden frame, floating high. It glides over the trees like a giant wing. I crouch lower. Is it a bird? A new creature? No, it drifts with no sound, no wings beating. It should not fly, and yet it does. It vanishes behind the hill, and I do not move for a long time. My stomach growls, but I ignore it. Hunger must wait. I follow a stream I know well, its water low but clear. I drink cautiously, watching the reflections on the surface. My own face, older, feathers patchy near the neck, eyes wide, alert, alone. The ships remain. I do not know how long they will stay, but I know they will come farther inland. They always do. I have seen the patterns: disturbance, stillness, then fire. As the day drags on, I return to a shaded hollow between two large trees. I curl into the dirt, leaves gathering around me like a cloak. I listen for the forest's voice. It speaks only in pauses now. If I am still, maybe it will tell me what is coming. The forest embraces me once again. Here, among the ferns and thick-trunked trees, I feel hidden, not just from sight, but from thought, from time. My breathing slows. I nestle beneath the wide, curled leaves of a young cyathea fern, its fronds arching overhead like the roof of a green cave. The coolness beneath the foliage soothes me. This is my refuge, and the scent of crushed greenery wraps around me like memory. The cool breath of the ferns calms my skin. I stay there for what feels like hours, unmoving, listening to the forest's whispers. A breeze stirs the leaves above, creating a low rustle like water moving through grass. It reminds me of a time when the island felt louder, when footsteps like mine pressed into the earth beside me, when calls echoed through the trees, responses, companionship. Now, the only answer is wind. I shift slightly, adjusting my weight. The damp soil beneath me clings to my feathers. I close my eyes and rest my beak against the moss-covered root beside me. Its surface is cool and rough. A small beetle crawls near my foot. I watch it without lifting my head, admiring its certainty. It does not know what looms at the edge of the forest. It simply moves forward. A sound breaks the quiet, distant at first, a sharp crack followed by a low metallic groan. I lift my head, alert again. It echoes unnaturally, bouncing off the stone faces of the distant hills. Not thunder, not branch, not rockfall. I press deeper into the shelter of the ferns. Through a small gap in the foliage, I can see flickers of orange light again, closer now. The flames are not from natural fire. They come from torches, carried by slow-moving shadows that brush against the edges of the forest. Their rhythm is unnatural, their heat too contained. The strangers have entered the trees. I remain still. I become the forest. My feathers blend into shadow and soil. I do not move, not even when the scent of smoke creeps beneath the leaves. My heart beats low, heavy. I blink slowly. I have never needed to hide before. This is new, and I do not like it. Time stretches thin. Eventually the shadows pass. I hear voices drifting away, faint and foreign. They speak quickly, almost carelessly. The flames dim and vanish, but the smell remains. I do not emerge from my hiding place until the forest begins to breathe again. Crickets chirp hesitantly. A wood pigeon calls once, then falls silent again. Above me, a pale moon rises through the trees, softening the sharp edges of fear. I rise slowly, muscles sore from stillness. I stretch my wings, not to fly, for I cannot, but to remind myself that I exist in space, that I still have a body, still move through this world. I wander aimlessly for a time. The paths I once knew seem altered. Every branch now feels like a warning, every shadow a possible watching eye. Yet I move forward, driven by something deeper than caution, perhaps hope, perhaps instinct, perhaps memory. Eventually, I find myself in a small grove where some ambayas grow thick. Their leaves fan outward in wide, feathery circles, brushing against one another in the breeze. I step gently among them. Their scent is rich and ancient, wet, green, patient. I sit again in the grove's center and press my beak into the earth. I breathe deeply. The island is still mine, I tell myself. It remembers me. It remembers all of us. And I remember it. Even if the trees fall and the fires come, I will remember the sound of wind through fern leaves, the smell of guava carried on ocean air, the softness of moss after rain. Here, surrounded by green breath and quiet earth, I rest, and I listen. The night deepens, and with it comes a stillness I do not recognize. Not silence, there are sounds, yes, but they are arranged differently, as though the forest hesitates between breaths. I move through the undergrowth like mist, careful and slow, each step cushioned by layers of damp leaves. I am searching for nothing in particular, yet every shadow feels like a question. I feel watched by something I do not see. There is a place ahead where the trees part just enough for the moonlight to reach the forest floor. I go there, drawn by the glow. It bathes the ground in silver, and the ferns shimmer like they've been dusted with frost. I step into the light and pause. The air shifts. I can feel it. From the far side of the clearing, something stirs. I freeze. Between two tree trunks, barely visible, stands a shape, taller than me, motionless, silent. I cannot smell it. I cannot hear it breathe, but I feel it. A presence like a stone dropped into still water, a ripple, an interruption. We do not move. For many heartbeats, we are statues beneath the moon. Then, slowly, it turns and vanishes into the trees. It did not run. It did not call out. It simply left, as if seeing me was enough. I stand alone in the light for a long while, my body tense, feathers tight. When I finally move, it is not away, but forward toward the space it occupied. There is nothing there now, no scent, no trace, only the cold aftertouch of something foreign. I am not alone.
Not in the way I once was, when solitude meant quiet paths and the memory of others like me. Now, something else walks these woods.
And though it leaves no tracks I can read, it carries weight, weight that even the trees seem to feel. I retreat into thicker brush, ears alert, eyes wide. My path takes me alongside the dry stream bed, the stones cool beneath my feet. A small owl flutters silently overhead, landing on a low branch. It stares at me with eyes that do not blink. We watch each other for a while. Then it lifts away, wings whispering against the leaves. I miss that, moving freely without fear. There was a time I roamed this island without ever thinking of hiding, without needing to know what came next. I wandered simply because the world was wide and the forest alive. But now I am alert in ways I have never been. I listen for sounds I never knew existed. And in the darkness I sense questions pressing against my mind. Why are they here? What do they seek? Why now? I find an old nest hollow at the base of a twisted ebony tree. Not mine, perhaps not anyone's anymore. The leaves within it have decayed into soft humus. I nestle inside, breathing in the old, broken scent of feathers long gone. Here I think of the others, those I once walked beside. Their faces are blurred in my memory, but their voices remain. Low coos, soft clicks, rustles in the underbrush. Sometimes, when the wind moves just right, I almost believe I can hear them again. Tonight, I close my eyes in this forgotten nest and whisper into the silence. I am still here. The forest does not reply, but it listens. The sun does not rise all at once. It leaks into the forest slowly, like warm breath passing through the slats of old wood. I am already awake when the light comes. I did not sleep deeply. Something inside me, something ancient and quiet, kept me half above the surface of rest, listening, waiting. And when morning returns, I find the world softer, but still uncertain. The forest sings, but cautiously. Even the birds hesitate. I rise and shake the leaves from my feathers. They fall gently, like the echoes of a dream I cannot quite remember. My legs are stiff, my wings cold. I stretch them, feeling the joints pop softly. Then I listen. Silence, but not the good kind. Not the rich, layered quiet of a peaceful island dawn. This silence is thinner, nervous. Even the trees feel unsure of their place in the morning air. I begin to walk. Each step through the undergrowth is slow and deliberate. I know these paths, have known them all my life. But now they feel new, as if the trees have changed position in the night, as if they too are hiding. Soon I realize something that makes my heart stutter. The birds are gone. Not all of them, but many. The white eyes that used to chatter near the fig trees. The small doves that cooed beneath the palms. Their songs are absent. The air thinner without them. The forest seems to have lost its voice. What could have silenced them? I find broken branches scattered across a slope where I often rest. The soil is disturbed, dug up in wide, clumsy circles. I press my beak to the ground and sniff. The scent that lingers there is the same metallic tang I've begun to know. something foreign, something sharp. I follow the trail for a short time, not because I want to, but because I must. The marks grow clearer. Not claws, not hooves, not paws. Prints pressed deep into the earth, wide at the heel, narrow at the tip, and repeating in straight lines. They move in ways the island's creatures do not. Soon I come upon a place I know too well, a grove where fruit trees grow wild, or where they once did. Now branches are broken, fruits half smashed on the ground, trampled. I see no signs of feeding, just destruction, careless and blind. The scent of ash lingers here. A sadness falls over me like a cold wind. This was a place of joy once, a place of sweetness, of memory. Now it lies bruised and quiet, a scar in the forest. I back away slowly. On my return path, I pass a familiar clearing and pause again. Something has changed here, too. A tree, once standing proud at the center, has fallen. Not by storm, not by time. Its trunk is split, the wound fresh. I move closer, and in the bark I see the pattern, repeating, unnatural. A blade was used. My instincts coil like a spring. I step back, heart quickening, wings trembling. The forest is being reshaped, and not by the wind or rain. It is being carved. It is being claimed. And still no birds sing. The only sound I hear now is my own breath, shallow and unsteady, and the soft hiss of leaves rubbing together above me. I make my way toward the inner forest, to a part of the island where the canopy is denser and the air smells only of moss and water. There I pause, pressing myself low beneath a curtain of vines. I listen again. Still no calls, still no wings, only distant crashing, faint, regular, like something heavy being moved. And deeper than sound, a feeling, a shift beneath the ground, as if the forest itself is bracing. I think of the other dodos. Their faces are harder to remember now, but their presence is not. I used to feel them in the air, in the rhythm of the trees. Now I feel only the weight of absence. The forest hums, but the melody has changed. A part of me wonders, am I the last? No voice answers, no coo returns, only the hush of a forest waiting for something it does not want. And yet I am still here, still walking, still breathing, still listening. The forest may be quieter, but I am not gone yet. The sky turns gold behind the treetops, evening again. The light filters down in narrow beams, thick with dust and drifting seeds. I move slowly now. My steps are careful, not because I am weak, but because I am listening. Listening to the island, to the stillness between leaves, to the gentle hush before night. The golden light passes through the trees like liquid. I walk in its warmth, though I no longer trust what it hides. The path I follow is an old one. My claws have pressed into this soil many times. It winds between black rocks and wide-leafed plants, a narrow corridor where the sun lingers longest. The warmth on my feathers feels familiar, and I pause, letting it soak into my back. For a moment I forget the ships, the marks in the soil, the voices that cut the night. For a moment I remember what the island felt like before all of this. A wind rises. It carries scents from the shore, salt, seaweed, smoke. Always smoke now, always the promise of fire. But the wind also carries memories, of fruit ripening in the heat, of water dripping from bromeliads after the rain, of my kind moving through the underbrush with low murmurs and rustles. I miss the sounds most of all. Not just calls or footsteps. I miss the harmony, the way the island used to breathe with us. Now the breath is thinner. Still there, yes, but laced with caution. I reach a place where the path narrows and dips into a shaded glade. A stream once ran here. Now it's just a ribbon of damp earth, still marked by the occasional insect track or fallen leaf. I walk along its length, touching the stones with my beak as I pass. Smooth, cool, unchanging. I think of the others again. I do not remember their names, if we had such things, but I remember how we moved together. The way one call would spark another, the way our bodies would shift like reeds in wind, always attuned, always aware. Now it is just me. I carry the pattern alone. The sun sinks lower, and shadows stretch across the trail like fingers. The forest begins to exhale. Some creatures stir, others settle. A single gecko clicks from a nearby rock. I answer with silence. As I move uphill once more, I hear something strange. The creak of a rope pulled tight, then a dull thud. Distant, but not far enough. I stop, pressing close to the base of a tree, and wait. The sound does not return. Perhaps it was nothing, or perhaps it was everything. The light is dimming now. The trees glow faintly at their edges, their leaves catching the last color of the day. I walk toward the highest ridge where I can watch the horizon. When I reach the summit, the view opens before me. The sea is wide and calm, gold bleeding into gray. The ships are still there, anchored, unmoving, patient. Tiny flickers of firelight glow along the shore. They are not leaving. I close my eyes and listen. The forest is quieter than it was this morning, but it is not silent. Somewhere, deep within, a bird calls once, short, soft, hesitant. I hold on to that sound. I press it against my chest. The wind wraps around me, cool and sweet, and I let it carry my thoughts into the darkening sky. The sun has dipped beneath the sea now. The shadows are long and soft. I do not hurry. There is no rush in endings, only the slowing. Night has returned again, but softer this time. The stars appear slowly, as if unsure whether it's safe to shine. I walk along the old trail that leads to the edge of the cliffs where the sea breathes below. The tide is high tonight. I hear it before I see it. Slow surges crashing against rock, then withdrawing like the long exhale of a sleeping beast. The sea swallows the shoreline's traces, but it cannot take the feeling. I reach the edge. Below me, the water stretches black and endless. The moon lays a silver ribbon across its surface, broken only by the dark shapes of the anchored ships. They are smaller from up here. Almost. I sit. The stone beneath me is cool and rough. Salt clings to it, and my feathers dampen against the surface. The wind is stronger here. It pulls at me, not with force, but with memory. I remember standing here before, watching the waves with others,
watching birds rise in the distance, watching storms form beyond the reef. There were voices then, feathers brushing mine, silence that was shared, not solitary. Now there is only me, and the sea. The ships do not move.
Their fires glow like eyes, steady, watchful. I wonder if they sleep, if those strange creatures rest the way I do, curled against earth, listening to dreams. My claws scratch lightly against the stone, not to sharpen them, not in defense, just to feel something solid beneath me. Beneath the cliff, the water rushes forward again, surging high, then sliding back. I watch the foam dissolve into black. With each wave, the shoreline shifts. The marks vanish. Their footsteps, the furrows in the sand, the broken shells, all pulled away by the tide. The sea does not keep their presence, but I do. I remember. Even if they do not stay, I will remember the scent they carried, the way their sounds cracked the stillness, the way the birds went quiet. I look down again, and for a moment I imagine leaving a mark of my own, something deeper than prints, something that might remain after I'm gone. But I know the sea. It takes everything. Still, I whisper to the wind, I was here. The cliffs hold the sound for a moment and then release it. The forest behind me is quiet. The wind shifts again, bringing the scent of night flowers and warm earth. I rise from the stone and begin walking back, my body tired but steady. A leaf brushes against my side. A bat flutters past in silence. Somewhere, far away, a soft, broken bird song rises, then fades. The trail behind me disappears with every step. Moss returns to where I pressed. Leaves fall where I passed. The island heals itself quickly, but I carry each place inside me. By the time I return to the inner forest, the stars have multiplied. The sky above is wide and bright and without answer. I lie down in a shallow bed of ferns. The air is cooler now. My breath is slow. I close my eyes. Tomorrow the sea will rise again, and it will take more. But tonight I am still here, and I am still listening. The forest is barely moving now. Only the soft sway of leaves and the distant hum of insects remains. Even the wind has fallen quiet. I lie curled among the roots of an old tree, wrapped in the scent of earth, moss, and memory. The ferns around me arch like guardians, their fronds brushing gently against my feathers. My eyes are half closed. Sleep pulls at me in slow waves. I close my eyes, and the green breath of the forest carries me. I no longer listen for sounds beyond the trees. I no longer search the sky for sails. The world out there, the one with firelight and strange voices, feels far away now. Here, only the rhythm of my breath and the gentle press of the ground remain. Thoughts drift like clouds. I see the old paths I once walked, lit by morning sun. I see my kind beside me, wide eyes, soft calls, wings brushing against leaves. I remember the scent of ripe guava, the crisp taste of stream water, the coolness of rock after rain. They return to me like dreams, soft, incomplete, enough. The night is deep now, deeper than it has ever been. Shadows no longer feel sharp. They have softened, stretched, dissolved into one another. I cannot tell where the tree ends and where I begin. The island is still breathing. So am I. Somewhere in the place between sleep and thought, I wonder if I am the last. But the question fades before it finishes forming. There are no answers in this part of the forest. Only stillness, only roots, only stars far above. The air is warmer near the ground. My feathers settle into the moss. I am not cold. I am not afraid. I am becoming part of this place. Leaf, soil, shadow, sound. The scent of fruit lingers faintly in the back of my throat. The taste of earth remains on my tongue. My wings twitch once, then still. My breathing slows. I dream of ferns. I dream of silence. I dream of a world where the forest sings again. And in that dream, I sleep. The forest dissolves into shadows. No edges now, only the soft blur of leaves, the hush of soil, the steady breath of an island that remembers. The night stretches wide across the trees, carrying the hush of ancient winds and forgotten songs. In this darkness, time loosens its grip. Footsteps vanish, voices fall away. What remains is the rhythm of breath, the murmur of roots, the slow drift toward sleep. Above, the moon glides behind clouds. The stars flicker, then blur, like dew sliding down a feather. The trees no longer speak in rustles. They exhale in long, quiet sighs. Beneath them, the ferns fold in gently, cradling what was, what is, and what is leaving. A feather settles on the moss. No wind lifts it. No bird follows. Somewhere in the silence, the sea still rises and falls, its pulse steady, ancient. But even that sound grows distant now, softer, thicker, like breath sinking into the deep green of dreams. And I, a creature once bound to leaf and earth, drift into the hush of memory. No longer alone, no longer waiting, only part of the island, part of its song. And you, dreamer, you who listen from another time, breathe slowly. Let the weight of days soften against the earth beneath you. Let the wind of this old island lull you. There is no hurry now, no more sound to chase, no more path to follow. Only sleep, only green, only time moving backward, like waves pulling from the shore. Good night, traveler of time. May your dreams carry the soft weight of my steps, the hush of ferns beneath my wings, and be echoes of an island that once whispered in the voice of the last dodo.